the people making the laws that have to do with school are not the same people who are actually there at school, and you can tell. And like this isn't just like laws in general. This is just like the people who like make the rules, who set things up, are different than the people who run the school, like principals, teachers, those sorts of things. One of the ways I notice this is with my gifted. I'm gifted and talented in art. Um, this means that like sometimes I get pulled out by a gifted and talented teacher and get pulled out and we do art stuff. But the thing that I've noticed is that um that the gifted and talented teachers are not gifted and talented in art. They usually are not artists whatsoever, and um they are made to be like the teachers of every single gifted and talented student. This is a problem not to do with the teacher's teaching, but to do with the like overall like thing, like people who run this thing, and that is the county's school system thing. So instead of hiring like people who are good at art or are good at one specific thing and then having them pull out people to do gifted and talented in art, instead the school is employing one person, or not the school, the county is employing one person to go to this school and pull out gifted and talented for for all the subjects. And the thing is that these people are also expected to not only do it at one school but also do it at more than one, like other schools as well. Um, Now, because of this, there's like these people who are gifted, who are meant to be gifted and talented in teaching us in art, are not, and they instead make plans and stuff like this. Like they make these plans, these things, for gifted and talented art students. And I'm not sure if they follow a curriculum or not, but that's actually a thing I would want to know if they do or not. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they follow curriculum or not. But if they but either way, they are not like if you draw the drawing, they wouldn't be able to give you certain advice on things you would improve on, besides like obvious things. Like maybe one eye is bigger than the other, they could point that out. But when it comes down to you need to use this technique more on this area, or when it comes down to like nitpicky things, they aren't really good at that. And so the county employs these people to go to schools and do gifted and talent and pull gifted and talented students for each gifted and talented subject, and go to not only just one school, but go to many others. And overall, I feel like if the if the county were to be knowledgeable like of the students and stuff like that, and like what's going on inside of the school, if they were more knowledgeable about that, then they would be a lot more like inclined to, instead of doing one teacher gifted and talented, like doing gifted and talented for everything, they would be more inclined to instead have a teacher to do this gifted and talented subject, like gifted and talented in language arts, another one for gifted and talented in art, another one for music, and so on and so forth. Like you wouldn't want an art teacher who can only draw a stick figure teaching you. You wouldn't want a band director who only really listens to music occasionally and doesn't really know about how to direct music as a whole. Like where band directors could give you like nitpicky details about your tone and to have a better tone and teach you how to have that better tone. A person who isn't necessarily a band director can be like, oh, this part over here sounds, I don't know, like too loud, and but even that may not solve the problem at hand. Um, Instead, they take people from all these different positions and do make them teach more than one subject when it's never like this with any of the other teachers. And it's not like gifted and talented is a specific thing. It used to be, but then our budget got cut back. So, but for gifted and talented in art and gifted and talented in music and that stuff and drama, it's always been separate, at least in middle school, than other things. Because there used to be a gifted and talented teacher who taught like science and like math and reading and like that kind of stuff, who taught those kinds of like gifted and talented students. And then you would get pulled during your first hour if you're gifted and talented in art, music, choir, theater, drama, whatever. But now it's no longer like that. Now there's just one teacher pulling you for everything. I'm pretty sure. Next one is the phones in school law. This really shows to me that the people making these laws, making it like illegal to have your phone out in school if you're a student, are really not in there in class. Um, at my school, it has always been like a huge problem to have your phone out, but you were allowed to have it out if you like get permission, or if you have to like turn it on silent or something along those lines. You were always allowed to. Or like maybe you need to set a timer for the class and your teacher gives you permission to. Now those things are not allowed, and I feel like that really is not the best way to make phones not a distraction at school. Yes, phones are a huge distraction to many students. Yes, it is good to limit phone access during school, but I don't think that banning phones altogether is the way to do so. If the county officials who are in charge of the school thing were to actually be like in school or listening to the teachers and other people who are in school, then it would definitely be something different. Now, all the people who make these laws and who make these laws, who do this, do that, make rules and stuff about school over the county, are all like most of them are not, like all of them are not actively teachers, and most of them haven't been teachers for a while, like since before cell phones. So if I were to like, I feel like it would be more fair to maybe to yes limit access so that students wouldn't be on their phones 24/7, but also not only to do that, but also to like not put all of the weight on the teachers. The teachers are the ones who have to enforce these laws. Um, while it's easy for like the county to just put out a statement saying cell phones are now banned from school. While that is like easy for them to do, it is not easy for those teachers to enforce. There's many cases where like maybe like somebody gets out their phone and like hides it under the desk to look at like a text or something, to look at the time. Maybe it's in their back pocket, but the teachers can't see. Maybe they are like maybe they're the teacher stepped out for a minute or turned his or her back on the student. Um, and the student then like gets out their phone and starts like I don't know texting, going on social media or whatever. It just feels like a rule that cannot be enforced. Instead of an all-out ban, you could do like maybe a time where it's okay for students to be getting on their phone, like a free time maybe, like maybe during lunch they're allowed to get on their phones, transitional periods even. But even that I wouldn't know much about. Banning phones all out, like you have to when you like according to the law, um, with your phone you have to power it off completely and have it in your backpack. It needs to be powered off completely. Um, so not on silent, not on do not disturb, just like powered off fully. So you have to like power it fully back up and like restart your phone to get on it. And it has to be in your backpack. Now, many people don't do this. And it's a hard rule to enforce. Like instead of banning phones all out, instead maybe you could rely on the teacher and rely on, hey, phones phones can be out if teachers instruct the student to do so. If the teacher says, oh yeah, you can call your mom. Oh yeah, you can like oh yeah, you can like I don't know, get out a calculator on your phone maybe. I'm not sure. In my school we have Chromebooks, so I understand more of the ban, but like sometimes in schools with less of a budget, um, they could use their phones like as a replacement for their Chromebook, and instead text on like not text, but like pull up like online apps or like look at maybe Kahoot on their phones instead of on their Chromebooks. It just makes it like banning all the phones throughout the whole county does not like does not take into account like schools who don't have electronic devices like Chromebooks, like used by everybody at the school. And I feel like there's like a huge disconnect between these two things. Okay, so I have to delete some things because I got full storage warning, so I'm always getting them. I have like the worst storage on here. Anyway, so instead of trusting like instead of outright banning all cell phones, um they can limit the usage of cell phones in school, but they can incorporate cell phones into either teaching, maybe even rewards. Like if you like maybe say that like teachers can give out awards to students to have like free time in like the gym or something with their phone. Before the cell phone ban, that's what my school did sometimes. That is all to say that that sometimes I understand why cell phones are being banned from school. I just think that if you gave cell phone like usage as an award or like incorporated with the learning, then it can really like help students use it less when they don't need to use it. Because when those rules of hey, never use a cell phone at school are in place, it is more inclined for teenagers to resist that and to use their cell phones more. And I understand that like I don't know. I feel like if the county isn't doing their best right now in terms of knowing what it's like and what's going on within the school environment, within classrooms. They they know what it looks like from an outside perspective or what it used to be like, but now it's different. And I feel like they could just use a lot more input from others and people who are actually in the fields and are there day in day out. But also making teachers who already aren't paid enough, making them do like adding more onto their jobs of hey, no matter what, you have to report if somebody is violating the code of no cell phones in school. You need to report that and you need to have eyes on it 24/7. It just really limits the it really adds on to a job that's already stressful, that like already isn't paid enough. It just adds on to that. And also recently the county that I'm a part of got a lot of heat because there was a whistleblower who told everybody that our county is actually kind of in debt right now. Like our school county, like the people who run the school or whatever. Whenever I say county, I mean like the school executives who manage the public schools in the county. Not like the principal or whatever, but like superintendent or this or that. Just like the people who are there and like who make laws for schools, who give funding to schools, that kind of stuff. Recently, they've been like flagged down for like I don't even know, but people who do not know what it's like to be teaching or in like this day and age with this technology, those people are using up money and not and using the money that they could be spending towards actually important things that have to do with the school. They are like spending this money on things that they like I don't even know what it was for. It was just they spent a lot of money on a lot of things that they honestly should not have been. So then now our education is kind of being pulled back. Like we had we used to do a program called Success Maker, but now we're doing a different one that costs less money because the school did not get enough funding to do to have this and like to have this program keep running for like the school year. And in the yearbook class, they were like supposed to get money for cameras, and the art teacher put that in and asked, "Hey, can I get money to get cameras to take photos for the yearbook class?" and like take photos during like basketball games, football games, that kind of stuff. But um, the money didn't like they didn't give the money because of how um, how like they didn't have enough to do that. And like the art, like my art teacher has like my art teacher does not have all the supplies she needs when it comes in terms of making stuff and like doing art stuff. Like almost every time I like am painting and doing art stuff, all of the supplies are kind of like starting to run out. And like I there wasn't enough white paint when I was doing like when I was doing a clay project. There wasn't enough white paint to use on my piece. There wasn't enough of this or that when I was doing acrylic, like this color, that color. I was doing acrylic painting, and it's not the teacher's fault because the teacher like the teachers pay a lot out of pocket when it comes in terms of supplies, and like I don't know. It's just they pay a lot of this money out of their own pocket because they cannot get the money from the school to pay for things like paint and other things that they need for to teach. They need the students need. They need to give to the students, etc., etc. I just feel like the teachers need more voice in this all, and they also need to pay more, which is like duh. But it's really frustrating to see how most of my teachers are trying their best, but they are usually met with like funding issues and stuff like that. And it just is really upsetting that I am not getting the best of my education, and they're trying to give me good education, but it's the people who are in charge of all these things that are not giving us the best education, that are in turn not giving us the best education, which is really frustrating. So I just feel like they need like the county needs some sort of more knowledge of what it's like being a teacher, being a student, being a part of the school in the modern age, instead of what it used to be like, what they think it's like from an outside perspective, or what they've seen maybe one or two times when they've sat in on a class, like a singular class, like an hour-long class or something. Because it's very different um on like it's very different because it's not just like, oh, they're like it's not like they're like if you sit in on one class period for one class, or even half a class period for one class, that's still not enough to get knowledge on what that teacher's job is like. Instead, you could sit in for a whole day, a whole week, or even like you don't even have to sit in if you are letting the teachers have a voice in decision making, like this, like cell phone bans, gifted and talented, like when it comes to funding, when it just comes to teaching in the modern era, because a lot of the time they have like a very like a very blurry vision of what it's actually like, and that's one thing that I feel like they could improve on. They aren't. Anyways, that's enough for me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, I feel like we need more people speaking up. There needs to be more people speaking for the teachers so that the laws aren't made against them or made not to their best ability. Because in turn, the teachers are having a harder time with their jobs, and in turn, the students are learning less and not getting the fullest out of their education. Like I've said, I hope that this video wasn't too rambly, but see you in the next one. Bye.